Now, unlike the previous training video when we split our window, in other words, I went ahead and I split it in the middle so I had a top half and a bottom half, or left and right, freeze panes will actually freeze anything or any cell that you have selected above it and to the left of it. Now, how can that be valuable to me? Well, for example, I've got a large database, so when I scroll down, notice that the column labels up at the top or the titles disappear. So if I'm not familiar with my database, then I'm looking over here going, let's see, which column is the first, which one's the last name? Well, I have to scroll back up, and then I go, oh, there it is, then I can scroll back down. That's annoying. Instead, what I can do is I can go ahead and freeze this row, and of course, when I freeze this row, it's going to freeze everything above it. I can't just freeze this row and say, well, it's only this row only, and everything above it is fluid, and below it, it freezes from that row and above. So to do that, what I want to do is come over here, click in a cell. It'll freeze everything above it and to the left of it. Since I don't want to freeze any columns, just this row and above, then I want to go over to the far left column, because what do I have to freeze to the left of this column? Nothing, so it won't freeze any columns, just whatever's above it, the rows. So to go ahead and freeze it, everything above this cell that I have selected, come up here on the View tab, go to the Windows group, click on the Freeze Panes drop-down arrow, and then click on Freeze Panes. It does two things. First of all, it adds a line here to let you know that everything from that point above is frozen, so when I scroll down, well, everything scrolls with it. I can still go ahead and keep track of my first name column because the label, the titles are staying with it when I scroll down, and my last name and everything else. When I'm finished, if I want to go ahead and unfreeze that, just come back up here and click the Freeze Panes to unfreeze. Where it used to be freeze, now it's unfreeze. Let me go ahead and scroll to the top. Then if I want to go ahead and just freeze the first couple of columns here, so when I scroll to the right, it'll actually bring this in. The problem with freezing panes when you have cells that are merged is that it really doesn't work. So if I click on the Home tab and click on to unmerge that cell, and let me see, I got another cell I need to click on to unmerge it. Then when I come up here and I click in the top row, because I don't want to freeze anything above it, just to the left of it. Because by default, whatever cell you have selected, it freezes above and to the left. So if I just move into the top row, but I'm out a couple of columns, it'll freeze everything to the left of the cell that I have selected. Let me go over one because I want to freeze everything to the left that includes the last and first name and the first column. I can't choose that, it's just everything to the left of it. So come back up here on the View tab to the Windows to Freeze Panes to freeze, froze everything to the left. That way when I scroll to the right, oh, that makes it really nice because if I had dozens or hundreds of columns, I don't have to scroll all the way over to get the gross column and then all the way back to see who it was that I was trying to compare that with or who it belonged to. Just go ahead and scroll over. It froze these two columns, so it collapses all the data here, brings it to a nice snug fit there. So I can just quickly look over and back and look over and back, and then when I'm done, go ahead and scroll back out or unfreeze the panes. Click on the drop-down arrow, unfreeze, back to square one. Oh yeah, if I go ahead and hit undo a couple of times and I remerge these cells and then I try to split it with the first cell selected because, well, it's all these cells here, A1, B1, C1, D1, and I try to go ahead and freeze panes to freeze panes, it doesn't know where to go ahead and choose what to freeze and what not to freeze, so it picked the middle of the worksheet, it looks like. Okay, so that doesn't work, so unfreeze. Let me go ahead and click in another cell. You got the two other options for freezing your panes. You can freeze the top row, freeze the first column. Makes it nice. You don't have to strategically place your cell to freeze the first column or to freeze the first row. You can just go ahead and pick one of those two options there. I'm going to go ahead and unfreeze it. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.